Hello all, and welcome to another edition of the ever popular and well-loved Flat Earth Friday. Thank you very much for joining me. Penumbra. The dictionary definition of penumbra is the partially shaded outer region of the shadow cast by an opaque object.
Sorry. This rare solar phenomenon was filmed on Kauai in Hawaii, where my childhood home is. This phenomenon happens twice a year in Hawaii if it's not cloudy, during solar noon, which is of course when the sun is highest in the sky, but doesn't usually fall at noon. Photos and videos taken during this time seem eerie, almost photoshopped, because there are no shadows. This is called the subsolar point, or lahaina noon in Hawaii, and it happens when the sun is directly overhead. But here's the sad thing. It doesn't happen for any of the other 49 states in the US. Sorry. And yet, it happens at some point for 80% of the continent of Africa, because Africa is between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. Ever notice how the degrees of the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn match the tilt angle of the Earth? It's almost like they were defined that way. Yeah. Sorry. The Tropic of Cancer is where the Sun-Earth line meets Earth during the summer solstice, which is when the sun is directly overhead at the Tropic of Cancer. Directly overhead means that line makes exactly a right angle with that spot.
Everything is grossly out of scale, completely wrong.
Sorry. So in this setup, the sun would not be directly overhead for the North or South Pole. In fact, the sun can never be directly overhead for anything north of the Tropic of Cancer, or anything south of the Tropic of Capricorn, because the solstice is already when you get the maximum tilt of the northern hemisphere toward the sun. And it has this weird property. The Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn are the only places on the planet where this can happen, when it's the longest day of the year and you can have the sun directly overhead. Here's a fun aside to think about. Why doesn't the longest day of the year match the hottest day of the year?
Thanks to Alex in Hawaii who snail mailed me that question.
And why doesn't lahaina noon match the longest day of the year in most places?
Are you having a laugh?
Okay, sorry.
And when my cat lays a fresh turd out, light comes from the sun at all angles. However, the Earth is so far away from the sun that by the time the photons reach us, they are travelling parallel.
The partially shaded outer region of the shadow cast by an opaque object.
Light comes from the sun at all angles. However, the Earth is so far away from the sun that by the time the photons reach us, they are travelling parallel.
The partially shaded outer region of the shadow cast by an opaque object.
At all angles. However, the Earth is so far away from the sun that by the time the photons reach us, they are travelling parallel.
Sorry.